Hey there, this is Ginger Pillitteri with SpEdadvisors.com, and today we're going to be discussing social stories. We're going to be looking at what are social stories, why do we use them, and where do we even get them from? All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. So the first thing we're going to be discussing is what are social stories? So social stories is a video, an animation, a comic strip, a little short book, a short passage, anything that has some type of visual in it. Picture, emoji, icon, cartoon character, something that relates a visual topic, okay, that it's going to either be that animation or that book explaining a social event or a very specific social topic, okay? And think about if your child is going to their first visit to the dentist and you need to explain to them this is what's going to happen when you actually go to your first dentist visit. A social story actually can be used either with that video, that comic strip, the little short story. That story, that video is going to help explain that first visit so that your child or your student or that individual you're working with can know exactly from beginning to end what is going to happen. Okay, one thing I want to point out real quick is social stories provide facts about the event. Okay, so they're going to give either they could be detailed facts or short steps regarding the social event. It really depends on the writer of the social story. The other thing I wanted to point out, social stories share safe information. They share accurate information. Okay, so the audience, whoever is listening, whoever's reading, they're going to find actual events information regarding that event. Okay. And the last thing about social stories I wanted to point out real quick is it can be used really with any age group. Let's say you have an adult family member with special needs and you need to explain something to them, even about going to a funeral. There are social stories regarding mostly every type of social event that you could think about or do or go to. They're out there. All right, so let's take a look at why we use them. So social stories are going to teach those specific social cues. So think about if your child is having problems with friendships. You might be able to use a social story to help shed some light on when to talk to somebody, when to ask someone to be their friend, when to ask someone to play with them, those kind of things. A social story may also decrease inappropriate behavior. So maybe your child's having trouble keeping their hands to themselves. Maybe they're hitting people at school, or maybe they've said some inappropriate language, some bad words at school or at home or in church. Okay, so there are social stories to help understand um, when to keep your hands to yourself, when it's okay to, like in sports, when it's okay to touch someone. Okay, so there are social stories to enlighten your child on appropriate behaviors of touching or hitting, things like that. It does bring attention to new experiences. Like I kind of said before, maybe your child's going to their first trip to the dentist. This is going to help them see what it's actually like before they even go. You know, whether it's an animation, whether it's a short little story with pictures, either way, they're going to be able to see the entire event of going, knowing what it's like from beginning to end. And when they do that, it does help reduce fears because they're understanding the social situation. They're understanding that event or activity. Maybe they're going to get a haircut for the first time. You know, maybe they've never known what it's like to do that. Well, this is going to show them exactly what's going to happen. Social stories can also help teach routines. So tying shoelaces, brushing their teeth, getting ready for bed or getting ready in the morning, those routines can be taught with a social story. And social stories help break those steps into easier and simpler ways. And especially by using the pictures, they're really able to maintain their focus and attention to those details and remember them, because remember, a lot of our kids are visual. Not every kid. A lot of kids are auditory learners, but that's when they listen to the social story. There's a lot of animated social stories on social media that you can find on YouTube. Great ones out there. And I'm going to share mine as well after this. So be sure to check that out. The last thing I'd like to point out as why we use social stories is because it helps individuals to generalize the skills that they're learning. Generalize means take that skill. Maybe you're teaching how to use appropriate hands around other people, okay? Maybe your child touches everybody or hits people or whatever. So if you're teaching and using social stories to teach when to touch, when to say hello, maybe instead of touching, they learn to give a high five, things like that. Generalizing the skill helps them to go into the community using that same knowledge that they're learning, okay? So the last thing, I'm going to give some examples and then we're going to go into the where to get them. But some examples that I was sharing, like how to help you when you're going to the dentist, what to do if you're angry or your emotions, if you're upset. Like I said before about getting haircuts, learning how to share, learning how to be a friend. There are so many social stories for any event, I believe, that's out there. I've seen so many of these. They're great. Where do we get them? You can look online, go to YouTube, go to the internet, look up for pre-made social stories. You're going to absolutely find them. The ones on YouTube are some animations. You can actually create your own using clip art off of a computer, or you could even cut pictures out of magazines and write your own social story. Super easy. And if you have no ability to do that, if your child's teacher understands what social stories are, which I would hope they do, you could always ask if they could point one in your direction. Okay. This is SpEdadvisors.com. I want you to remember that we are building the most comprehensive free review-based special needs directory for your family members with special needs. And after this video, I'm going to be posting my own social story that I animated myself. I'm going to be posting it also to our website. So be sure to check it out, SpEdadvisors.com. Thanks.